Hello.
Hello.
We live?
I think you're muted.
I'm muted.
No. I think Dr. Crow is muted.
Oh.
I am muted. Holy shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
God.
Welcome to the stream, everyone.
Hello, what's up?
What the hell?
Oh yeah, good.
Oh no,
Gemini
now I'm
in the
getting some
chat.
weird feedback loop.
Oh,
What the hell is happening?
hello, Gemini.
God, oh, that's why I have the link open up and I have the tab open up. Shit. I had the stream open up in another tab, so I was hearing ourselves.
Oh,
God,
okay, I
it's
see.
not a live stream if something doesn't go wrong, right?
I see.
Yes,
No, yeah,
I 100% agree.
happens to the best.
So we are back again here to talk about yet another webcomic. Today we're talking about Plague Rook's comic. Lori, you were the one who was supposed to set the schedules. Why is David here? We scheduled him last week.
I
He snuck his way in.
yeah, I gave her, I snuck her a 5, and she put me in.
She just put you in. Lori, do you have anything to say for yourself about this?
Oh, was that last week? Sorry, I forgot. Also, I wanted
Why is your voice
tacos,
different?
and the best
Shit,
tacos come from the
everything's
home
gone bad.
country, Brazil.
I don't even know if you could hear that.
No, I heard it. The best tacos come from Brazil. I'm gonna disagree on that one.
That's heresy. I'm gonna have to report the stream for hate speech.
Lori, you're going to get us in trouble. We only just now started. Why you do this to me, Lori? All right, so Plague Rook, David, you two are working on a comic called My Beloved. No, not My Beloved. Beloved, Death Do Us Part, right?
Yeah. Like, for short, beloved is fine.
Beloved.
I just like the subtitle "Death Do Not Us Part" because
Yeah.
the subject matter is not just the love between the two main protagonists, but also the death that's going around the world. There's a horrible plague.
Would you say it's a Plague Rook?
I walked right into that one.
All right, here we go.
I would say that it's a magical plague. That's how I would describe it, because one thing I've noticed in fantasies is there's always these fantastical elements like dragons and sorcery and things like that. But one of the things that always fascinated me about history, which fantasy is often based on, is that like sickness will just bring societies to their knees. And I've never seen a fantasy sickness. I mean, that I would assume there probably is in stories, but I haven't seen one in many. So I wanted to add that as part of the story.
All right. So this whole thing takes place around a sickness. Do we know anything about this sickness?
We know a few things from the first few pages. We know that it makes you grow black feathers, and we know that it's really deadly. You need to
makes you get some like weird what do you call it on the feet, like
Yeah,
crow's feet.
yeah, it gets you're a crow yourself, Dr. Crow. So
I
what do
am.
you call the scales that come on a bird's foot?
Oh, well, that's easy. You don't know what they're called?
I've been calling them scales.
Ignore the furious
So-
typing.
So you get crow's feet, but you don't. Not the wrinkles in your eyes, but actually your your legs start to grow some scales, and they're painful, right? And
Yeah,
you also like begin to lose.
It's called reculi.
Reculi. Okay.
Reticulae.
I've learned something new today.
I never learn. That's
Learning
what the
for
authorities
chumps.
say.
Who needs to learn, right?
Yeah. Yeah, learning's for nerds.
Be dumb and happy forever.
I ain't no
Yeah.
nerd.
All
Now,
right.
excuse me
So
while I talk about my comic.
yeah. So what brought about the comic? What exactly was like the launching point? Why did you guys want to make this? You make a romance comic of all things.
I really like romance personally, and I think that the thing that really kicked this comic off was actually just talking to you two in the Discord, like several months ago, and we were
Almost
just
a year.
making. The year was like 2023, like it was before like the new year, and I just remember we were just talking random stuff about goblins and goblin mode because David really likes that meme.
Yeah.
And then I was talking about how goblin women are super cool, and we were just having fun. And then David noted how I kept talking about goblin women, and he's like, "Oh, you're a plague doctor. A plague doctor that has a goblin wife would actually be pretty cool." And when I heard that or read it, it just clicked because I've been thinking about making a fantasy story, and I wanted to make a story with a magical sickness, and I just put two and two together immediately. A plague doctor plus fantasy world, goblin wife, it all fits.
It's an interesting set of context because I never really seen like goblins be used as a romantic set. At least not like how you guys have it in your comic. Usually, whenever we have like the romantic goblin types, it's for a very specific kink.
Right.
I have no idea to what you refer.
No,
It wasn't a controversy or anything.
absolutely not. The comic has done really well for itself.
Thank you.
Yeah, like these numbers are nothing to laugh at for a comic you guys have been doing for what, less than a year now?
Yeah, less than a year.
All right. So we talked a little bit about the setting. We talked about how it came about. What are your roles for it? Who's the writer? Who's the artist?
Well, I'm the writer, or I guess I'd call myself the head writer because David has a lot of good ideas that he will often suggest and are put into the story. And I'd call David the artist. And I'm very grateful to have him because his art is banging.
It is. Let's take a look at some of this art. So, David, what's your philosophy when going into the art? How does the art here differ from your personal comics, the Alliance comics?
How is it different? Well, I guess the key difference is that if I don't do a good job, Plague will hurt me.
Threats of physical violence is great.
Yeah. No, I mean it's mental. You know, he just tells me off, plays on my insecurities, that sort of thing. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, the key difference is that Plague has to give the final yes, the final what would you call it,
The seal of approval.
the seal of approval. Yeah, whereas
I actually
with
send.
my
Sorry, go ahead.
whereas with my own stuff, I'm the one who says fuck it, good enough.
Good enough.
No, I get to say good enough. I actually send him sometimes a picture that says crow of approval because
Right.
it's fun.
I like it. I love it. Shush, kitty. All right, so tell us about the characters. Who's our leading man and lady here?
So the leading lady, her name is Aisha, and the leading man, right now he's just been referred to as the Plague Doctor or just the Doctor. He hasn't had an opportunity to introduce himself because he can't talk. He's mute.
Okay.
But later on, we're going to find out his name is Daniel.
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 All right.
Sorry, I like fantasy names.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a fantasy book. So, is there a reason why he can't talk, or is it just because he's in the mask?
Oh, it's not because of the mask. Like he literally cannot speak. He is mute. He he has no voice. Uh, he could take the mask off and still would not be able to communicate through verbal means. So his workaround is that he always carries a pen and quill around to just write down what he needs to say. He also speaks sign language. So, but most people don't know it. So again, pen and quill.
Pen and quill. This is the way you gotta talk to everybody. So this first page is actually starts with a promo. Any reason why you started with a promo instead of just going straight to the first issue?
So I started with the promo because I wanted to start out with something fun, something. I wanted to start out with a joke. There's not much joking in the first few pages. The first few, I love the first few pages, but there's no humor, and
They set the stage.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, this is like those scenes that some movies release. They release scenes beforehand, and instead of a trailer, I guess that's what we call it.
Yeah, I would consider the promotional that we did a trailer for the comic itself.
Yeah.
It's good. That's good. So this is our little opening trailer to get the idea that this is going to be a comedy a bit.
Mhm.
It's just chasing a cat or a fish.
Yep.
I love how expressive his eyes are, by the way. He did the whole thing with the eyes there, what tells all his expression.
That's one of our favorite things too.
Yeah, that's real hard to pull off like that. Because actually, it says his first name right there in the first bit of dialogue.
Oh, right, I forgot about that. Well, then in that case, yeah, I forgot that his friend Bart talked to him and said Daniel. So yeah, his name is Daniel. Her name is Aisha. I guess it was all right there. I forgot my own trailer.
I forgot too.
It happens to all artists to kind of forget their own stuff. It seems to like to be the curse as everything goes through. So what about her? What's her story? Because the whole first chapter is pretty much about her introduction.
Yeah, that pretty much is the whole first chapter, introducing her and how he ended up getting engaged to her. So her story is that she's the daughter of the chief. She found Daniel and immediately knew she wanted to marry him, and so she just put a plan into motion to make it so that they would be married.
Interesting way to do that. And I love this whole starting here with the bickering old and younger guy. What is up with the chicken horse?
Well, that's
so you go ahead and explain that one, David.
Oh, okay. That's what do you call it? Heliocoro?
Heliocoro.
Yeah, it's like a Greek mythology creature. I guess what do you call it? Oh, like a chicken horse?
Chicken horse. It's a chicken, I tell you, a giant chicken.
So in Greek, they called it a hippolektrion. It's half horse, half chicken, or half rooster, and they're known to be extremely fast in the original mythology. But we wanted to do our own spin on it, and so we also did our own spin on the name and called it Heliocoro. Again, using Greek words, but we just wanted to introduce some fantasy elements in the first page, and also, why have a regular horse pulling your cart when you could have a fantasy horse pulling your cart?
Exactly.
I like that quote about cartoons. Like, why would you have a story about a regular guy when you could have a story about a sponge that lives in a pineapple under the ocean?
It definitely is. It definitely is a much more interesting way to express your story. Get the creativity flowing, everything. Let's not go off crazy about SpongeBob here, because SpongeBob's a great show. It was.
We love SpongeBob.
So throughout the first chapter here, we see the doctor, and he's here to heal sick. And this is the disease you were talking about?
Yeah, the goblins call it the black feather sickness. Most people around the world know it as Corvus, and it's called Corvus because it slowly, like, you get black feathers, you get those talons, you slowly start to look like a human or humanoid version of a crow. And it's a very painful process. There's a lot of fever involved. It's not anything pretty.
No, this is. It does look pretty terrifying what you got going on here.
It gets worse. We were holding back for these first few pages.
Yeah. So we just show that he pretty much just has to pluck and carve it off.
Bit by bit.
It could be pretty bad. So are these goblins healed, or did they have to be worried about it coming back for today?
So he was able to heal the ones that he helped. They shouldn't need to worry about it. But the way with all sicknesses go, if it's gone, that doesn't mean it's gone forever. There are ways it can come back.
So there's a risk that the infection will come back.
It's not likely. He's very thorough. Dino's a very thorough kind of doctor, very thorough kind of person, really. He's meticulous. Like, one of the things we worked on a lot with the first page where he was working on the sick was how he went one step at a time. He separated the feathers in a jar to keep everything under control. He's not the kind of guy to leave anything to chance.
Blazing through the comic, I love big lady crush spine. Love it.
That was one of our favorite pages too.
Yeah.
Crowman, save my boy.
Crow's come to the rescue. I approve of this comic. This comic's great. I love it. So what's the release schedule for the comic right now? Because it's fairly slow release, simply because indie productions, am I right?
Yeah. Well, David is an amazing artist, but it's not like I can pay him more and then suddenly more comics are produced. He has a limited amount of time. And so Our schedule is pretty much one comic per month. And I'm happy with that because I don't want the quality to drop. So it looks good. It writes like the dialogue, the story, it's going well. And honestly, if I could make it go faster, I totally would. But what we have right now is acceptable to me.
Acceptable. And about how far along do you have this written?
How far do I have it written for this chapter or for the entire story?
For everything. About how far ahead of you are you to release?
So there's what I've written down on paper for David to read, and then there's what I have written down in my notes. What I have written down on paper for David to read so he can translate into a comic, it's written ahead like a few pages more than what's currently available. Whereas for the story, there's a lot. I have a lot planned ahead. There's going to be a villain. There's going to be a mystery. There's going to be, well, I guess I could say there's more than one villain, but that's for later. There is quite a lot planned for the future.
So is our plague doctor here going to have to be dealing with like sword fights and magic duels, or he's going to be very more passive and we're dealing with a small term of what he's got going on here?
There are going to be sword fights, actually. One of the things that me and David talked about was what kind of weapons he has.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying not to spoil too much, but
Oh,
the thing is, yes, there are going to be sword fights. There are going to be magic
yeah.
duels, I guess you would call them.
Yeah,
But
and don't forget that, Aisha is a warrior and she's going to
yes,
protect her husband.
yes, she is a warrior. She comes from a warrior tribe. There's going to be battles involving her as well.
Yeah.
And I would just say that it's not going to be small scale where we're focusing only on him treating people, but that's also not going to disappear and it's going to be purely action.
All right. So he's going to become more and more involved with the goings on in the world as the story continues.
Absolutely. His goal is to cure everyone of the plague of Corvus, but in order to do that, he's going to need to take on bigger battles than he even realizes.
Sounds like you got a lot of interesting things planned out for this book.
Yes.
So let's talk about your creative style. We talked a bit about how, like, what was the inspiration for the book. What's your approach when coming to write a romance?
Uh, romance. I have a love-hate relationship with romance. My approach to romance is a romance junkie. I consumed a lot of romance media, books, movies, and things like that. And in almost every romance I'd ever looked at, there was something that bothered me so much. And the biggest thing that always bothered me was that as soon as the main guy and the main girl got together, it was done. No more story. We end it. Goodbye. Hope you had a nice time.
And that's
And that
kind of,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that's kind of the idea, the will they, won't they, for most romances.
Yeah, and I understood that even when it bothered me, but it always infuriated me that that was the end. Like, will they, won't they is a great story, but it's not the where I would like for it to end. And so my approach for romance, first and foremost, is not to do the will they, won't they. That's why in the very first chapter they're already married. Because will
Well,
they, won't they? Well, they've already gotten married. So there you go.
And I
that is
think
going to be by
that's
the end of the first chapter, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something that we have in common, right? Because I also, I guess, rushed to put Bugman and Demoness together. And yeah, I just realized that same thing that you said, that you see stories about people getting together and that's the end, but it's most definitely not the end, because a relationship on top of work, on top of whatever else, it creates a new level of conflict. And as a writer, it's interesting.
I think it also creates a new level of love, because when you move on from just deciding whether or not you want to be together to actually being together and remaining committed, it it can lead to so much more in-depth care and feelings for each other.
Oh, true.
And so that's one of the things I want to reflect in the story itself, is how they grow together, as well as the conflict. Like you mentioned, David, the conflict, there's so much more that can be had apart from just will they, won't they.
Right.
And it's good to have a nice long, because I can tell you, as a married man, there's a lot that can happen in a marriage.
Exactly.
There's
I
plenty
100%
of
agree.
conflict.
Also, as a married man, there's a lot to uncover.
Oh yeah.
And as a single man, I'll agree without knowing what I'm talking about.
Because usually when we get like romances between a married couple, uh, I'm just, here I am talking about with my married couple smoking mirrors.
Yeah.
It's
No,
usually,
that's actually one of the things I really liked about Smoke and Mirrors, is that they were already married, but still it was a romance. And I was like, this is what I've been talking about.
yeah. And usually, like whenever you see like a married romance in like any other media, it's usually has like, my favorite idea is like the sitcom married romance where the girl is a knockout and he's a big fat slob. And there's like you look at them and it's like there could be no way these two got together. Like these two barely like each other.
Right.
And we don't really see a whole lot of like actual proper married couples anymore.
Yeah, I guess you don't.
When it comes to smoke and mirrors, one of my inspiration is the relationship between Homer and Marge from The Simpsons.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because here's the thing: early Simpsons, Homer is actually a good dad. He's a good husband. He works hard. He provides for his family. He's a little dumb. He's not smart, but he's trying. He real hard.
Right.
The first Simpsons episode is actually that Christmas special where they get Santa's little helper, the dog,
Oh.
and the hoops Homer jumps through in
Right.
that special just shows just how hard of a working dad he is. And then like I want to compare that to like how modern Simpsons are, where Homer is just borderline mentally
challenged. Yeah.
mentally challenged. Yeah,
Retarded.
Marge. Well, there just went monetization. Thank you. There's Marge, who's kind of just a naggy wife. And the worst one of this is Family Guy, where Peter is just a selfish child, and
Oh yeah.
Lois is a whore.
Oh, the vile woman.
Yeah, this is like you just like look at married couples, and it's like romance is kind of dead on that regard in like modern media. I miss that sort of stuff, and I'm really happy that you guys have this going with your comic here.
Oh yeah. That's. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. What other sort of things can we expect in the fantasy genre? Like, is there anything we should be aware of? Like, is it just going to be like main focus on the goblins and the humans, or is there going to be other? Are we going to expect elves and dwarves and stuff to show up?
There are elves. A little bit of trivia for this world in the world that Beloved takes place in. Goblins are actually a type of elf. Like I would call them wood elves, but yeah, there are elves other than the goblins. There are other races. There are other fantastical creatures aside from your old chicken horse.
Yeah.
So that's one of the favorite things that David and I did when we were talking about this conceptually after that fateful day on the Discord server. And I actually went back and looked at it. It was actually on July 7th. So it's been a whole year since that first
That's
conversation happened.
Damn! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday indeed. So one of the things that me and David did is we talked about, oh, are we going to have these creatures? Oh, it'd be so cool if. We were having so much fun. We felt like children.
Yeah.
Neat. I gotta ask because I gotta know. Dragons? Will there
Yes.
be dragons? Yes.
Though you may not be happy with. Oh, actually, I don't know because I don't know what kind of dragons you're into, but I'll say that it's not going to go Game of Thrones, but there will be dragons.
I can go either or with my dragons. I like them both, like the big snarly evil monster, and I also like them as these highly intelligent. Regardless, they need to be dangerous no matter what.
Oh yeah, giant lizard must be dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Imagine that.
Chat, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. Don't be afraid. We'd love to hear what some of your things are. And if you want to read the comic, link is in the description. I should have. No, that's not right. I got the link here. I'll drop it in the chat real quick. I probably should have pinned it to the top. Somebody who knows what they're doing probably would have done that already.
It's okay. The like we said at the beginning, the blight of having a live stream is that something must go wrong.
Oh yeah, I mean, I already set that up right off the start. Laurie, you got anything you want to comment about? This ought to be good.
Do something to get yourself sued.
No, Laurie, this is not again.
You know, that's funny that Laurie says that because we actually, when we're talking about
sued.
the.
Are you for real?
Yes. By Tolkien.
Oh,
Tolkien's
Yes.
family. They were
Yes,
like, no,
we were-
your story's too good.
we were taking far too much inspiration from fantasy, and Tolkien has a whole copyright of the entire fantasy genre.
Exactly.
I'm sure that would have made Tolkien great, but I'm sure he's so happy about that. Because really, it's Amazon who has fantasy copyrighted at that point. But no, did you actually like have run into some sort of copyright issue or
No,
No,
get sued?
that,
no.
No.
that was
Oh,
just
thank
messing.
God. But no, David, this is like the third time she's told you to do something to get yourself sued. This is starting to get
And
concerning.
and I always listen.
No, David, we need you to finish like 3 comics first, all right? Then you
Ah,
can go get yourself sued.
all right,
Wait till you're done.
all right. I guess I'll leave those women alone.
Jesus
I
Christ.
guess we're not leaving anything up to imagination.
No. So, again, is your comic only on Tapas or is it on Webtoons or anything else?
So it's only on Tapas right now, and I thought about putting it on Webtoons, but I was thinking that because of the subject matter with a disease and how much it's going to get kind of gory, I was like, I don't think that they're going to allow that, because I'm not representing a large company, and I don't have any sort of way to represent myself to them other than an individual, because this is an indie comic right now. So I just decided to stick to Tapas and work my way towards my own website, like one that I can make specifically for the comic. And I see that Pixie has a question in the chat.
Yeah, she does.
I want to ask, why did you decide on the dynamic of a plague doctor and a goblin girl? So your husband did ask a similar question, but the dynamic between plague doctor and a goblin girl is because we were just saying silly stuff in a Discord chat one time where all 3 of us were present, and then David said a goblin wife would be a pretty cool story for a plague doctor.
Yeah, because I figured, one is like small and very loud, very I guess savage, or what would you call it? Very hardy, and then used to like fighting her way out of trouble, and the other one is like just very serious, very smart, cerebral. So it's the perfect contrast.
Yeah, I actually like the contrast of tall and short, and
Right.
like loud and quiet, and like smart and goofy. I like when opposites attract. It's
Exactly.
lots of fun. Um,
Yeah, and then we also have the opposite tracks that the goblin is going to be a goblin, and the plague doctor is going to be the straight man of this whole situation. Is he's going to be the one that's kind of large and in charge?
yeah, actually, when we were discussing the like when we first came across that, and then I said, "Oh, I want to make this a comic now, and it's going to happen today." And David said he wanted to be the artist. He sent me a concept image. I'll
Right.
send it to you right now, but he sent me this concept image, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Except that's too far in the future. That because
Yeah, I'm looking at this picture. And that's kind of modern.
yeah, they look
Yeah.
they had like this like 50s, like 40s, 50s, like like
Do you mind if I put it
roaring,
on stream?
yeah, you could put it on stream.
Okay.
It felt very like modern, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's awesome, and I'd really like for that to be the case, but I already have the idea, and it's gonna be fantasy.
Yeah, I kind of like the
Right.
pearl necklace though.
Oh, I love the pearl necklace.
Yeah, it's a little too modern fantasy.
I guess
Although I do love the designs. These are great. Save these, David, because you could probably do something else
Oh
with
yeah.
them.
No, I do. I do. I think I was watching Spy Family at the time. Maybe that's why
Oh,
I
that
was.
that does remind me of Spy X Family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess that's why I was like, I don't know, had the whole 50s aesthetic in the brain.
Pixity wants to know because she herself is a goblin.
Ha 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 ha. I actually looking at the chat when like that actually happened. Crow did start the conversation by saying, "I married a goblin."
Right.
I did.
Right. So you're to blame, Doc.
I am to blame. It's all my fault.
Yeah.
Also, speaking
I'll
of
take the blame
Pixity, in
for
the
it.
chat, she says that she likes how the doctor Daniel is mute. I agree. Like him being mute, I felt like gave more emphasis to his actions rather than his words.
Mm-hmm.
And also
Goblin
there.
nuts.
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry,
you,
Laurie.
Lori. Goblin these nuts.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Lori. You're a little slow on the pickup there, but
Well, if you didn't lose monetization before, Doc, I
I've
feel
lost it
sorry
now.
for your
Who cares?
monetization now.
Who cares? I'm not even monetized on anything.
I resisted the urge. I can see Laurie resisted the urge when we were talking about dragons. She resisted the urge to say dragon these nuts.
She couldn't hold it in. No, Lori, you can't. No, stop. All right. God, we've already blown through all the questions. We've got like 20 more minutes left on this interview.
Okay.
So, what's some of the future plans with the comics? What's some of the situations that you can let us in on, like a little sneak peek? What you got in the future?
So some of the sneak peeks I can give you is that in order to marry Aisha, Daniel's going to have to fight her father in a wrestling match.
Who hasn't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lori, stop looking at me.
as
Stop
a
that.
as married men, Doc, I think we can both attest to the fact that in order to marry your wife, you gotta first wrestle her father.
Oh yeah, you gotta get the father's approval.
Yeah. So there's going to be a wrestling match. So any of you who like MMA, there's going to be at least one MMA reference in the first chapter. For the next chapter, there's going to be a lot of like new couple drama, I guess you'd call it, like where, but it's going to be ramped up. One of the reasons why I wanted him to be mute is because I wanted them to have a hard time communicating on a quite literal level.
Ooh.
Like, because she can't read.
Right.
Oh my god.
She can't read and he can't speak. So how do they communicate? It's anybody's guess at this point.
And he's
I think that the only means of communication they have is food.
and he makes the human hand signs, but she speaks goblin hand sign language.
It's gonna become interesting.
That's a
Dixie
little
wants to
joke.
know if he's ever going to be unmasked.
Absolutely, he is gonna take off the mask. There's gonna be a part where he takes off the mask in chapter 1, but we're not gonna see his face in chapter 1.
There's an
when-
unmasked the Daniel art out in the wild. If any of you wanna go hunt.
If any of you are clever enough to know where to look, David Aragón, Instagram. If any of you are clever enough to know where to look, you can find his face somewhere. But as far as the comic itself, he won't be unmasked for a bit. We're not going to be able to see his face for a bit.
I kind of like that. You kind of don't need to know the face.
That's what I felt, that the way he appears wasn't so much as important as what he's doing, because what he's dedicated his life to is curing this illness.
Yeah.
And there are lots of reasons for that. Another one of the things that we're going to get into is where Daniel came from, where this sickness came from, and why he decided he wanted to cure it in the first place.
But of course,
Ooh.
when Paramount Plus came to us to buy the IP, they said no, he's going to take off the mask in the first 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, if we
We-
can't have Master Chief without seeing his face, right?
We can't have Daniel without seeing his face. The mask comes off. Also, he doesn't cure sicknesses anymore. He
He's a
cures
crybaby.
heartbreaks.
All the goblins are African in this set.
All the goblins are African. They're,
Or
the-
because what is it they were saying goblins were in J.K. Rowling's books? They were the
Jewish
Jewish.
people.
That's
yeah.
we can't do that right now because it's not popular to be Jewish.
Oh, they work
according
with
to-
money. They have to be Jewish.
Jesus.
J.K. Rowling, you racist.
No, they can't just be goblins, can they?
No, we can't just have orcs. We can't just have dragons. No.
You didn't want this. You didn't
one more-
choose this.
One more thing I can spoil is that there's going to be a battle scene with Aisha where we see like the kind of monster that someone becomes when Corvus takes full effect. You're not yourself anymore. You become a beast. You become completely turned over to the sickness and you're like a zombie. And so she ends up fighting some of these crow like zombies in order to protect her husband. And it's going to be a really big fight scene.
Ooh.
Oh, this
Crow
is news to me as
zombies.
well. I'm hyped.
Oh,
No, I told you about this.
You told me. Was
Yeah.
I listening? Was I paying attention? Because
God, so it's good to know that I'm not the only one who has trouble telling the artist anything.
Oh, I
You
love
know
I love
us.
Pixity's question right there. Is there any meaning to the character's name? There actually is, but it's not meaning in English. It's meaning in the languages of this world.
Ooh.
So in the Goblin language, Aisha's name is a combination of I and Sha, which means she's a warrior woman. And in Daniel's language, his name refers to like who he used to be. I can't say too much. That'd be spoiling.
Theories.
Our lawyers are telling us that we've already said too much.
Remember, medicine is it's not a science, it's an art. According to the legal department, it is in fact a science. Rare apologies.
But yeah, their names are significant. I actually wanted Daniel's name to kind of sound similar to Daniel because I like the name Daniel. I think Daniel is a very like beautiful sounding name. Like, you know, like Zelda, like when you hear it, it kind of sounds like a song.
Hmm.
So I wanted the name not only to have significance in the language that it comes from, but also to sound similar to Daniel. So I thought Daniel.
I like to say, "Damn, Daniel."
And so you put a lot of work into this stuff. I love it. What's the world building like? Like, how much of the world do you know about, or are you just focused on what's going to be directly affected to the characters?
So there's quite a bit of world building I've done behind the scenes. For starters, I've made at least 2 languages. They're not like comprehensively made, but there's enough there to use for the comic. I know about the terrain and the general geography. I got a map.
You gotta have a map.
Gotta have a map. How else are you gonna know where you're going? You gotta have a
Why
map.
else?
right?
What's the point of making a fantasy series if you're not going to draw a map?
Yeah, I mean,
Precisely.
speaking of personal experience, whenever whenever I start writing a medieval fantasy thing, I always just make a map before anything else.
Like the
Yeah.
map's the coolest part. You open up that book, and right there on the first page, map.
Exactly.
There's a lot of world to explore. I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep it centralized though to our main characters, and only allow myself a certain amount of time because I don't want to start getting world builder syndrome.
Oh, right. If anything, that's kind of Token's biggest criticism against him is that he spent so much time on just world building.
No, I see.
Yeah. No,
Well,
and I think
he
that
got
if
he got four really amazing books plus the Silmarillion's notes. So
no, like there is definitely a lot that he gained from having world builder syndrome, but I think that there's far too much irony in me making a story about curing an illness and then gaining an illness because of it.
Well, I was already mentally ill before starting, so
hey, I don't think any writer has got it all together. It kind of goes against the art, doesn't it? If you're going to be a proper writer, you got to have something severely wrong with you.
Well, there you go.
Kind of like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Indeed.
Yeah.
How will this be the Game of Thrones of romance fantasies?
No.
Well, you see, we're going to make it suck at the end, really hard.
We're going to betray every one of our readers and say, "See you later, suckers. Thanks for the money.
We're going to go work on Star Wars now. Bye.
Bye."
What do you mean we're not working on Star Wars?
What do you mean you're gonna give a chance to every other idiot out there except us? Oh, Weinstein's personal assistant? Oh yeah, that makes sense.
It's his personal assistant.
I guess he kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Daniel kind of forgot about the Corvus Plague.
What would you say is the focus of the relationship? Focus of the story is the relationship. I butchered that. Let me try that again.
Okay.
Proton Stalker asks, would you say the focus of the story is the relationship?
Absolutely. I would say that the story, like the focus of the story isn't the relationship. The story is their relationship. Without their relationship, there wouldn't be a story.
There you go.
Not just for meta reasons, not just because this whole comic started because of the idea, Plague Doctor and a Goblin Wife, but also because the way the story unfolds entirely because of these two being together. I mean, Daniel could have continued like curing the illness and never gotten married like he originally wanted, because he wanted to be solitary, but he wouldn't have been able to do much. Like his life changes for the better because of Aisha. And again, that's why we're starting with them meeting each other and getting married, is because I like the Neil Gaiman quote, start as close to the end as possible. Well, the way the story ends is pretty spectacular, but the closest part to that ending to actually make sense is them meeting each other and actually getting married.
Oh, that's interesting. So, yeah, you got to start as close to the end as possible. And in a romance level type that you've been talking about, you want to... we'll get to that question in a moment, Pixie. You got to start as close to the end. And if you're going to tell a story about a married couple, it's best to either start with them already married, like I did with Smoke and Mirrors, or getting married. And this is literally just how they met.
Yeah, exactly. I can answer Pixie's question for David if you want, David.
Pixie, David, why is everyone you draw usually hot?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Blake.
So the reason why everyone that David draws is hot is because he himself is a very hot Mexican.
Oh,
And so
I'm a hot tamale.
As per his culture, because he is hot, he must draw other hot people if he wants to continue drawing. Otherwise, the cartel will not let him draw anymore.
The cartel won't let him.
The cartel, also known as
Cartel.
Plague Rook.
The cartel's too busy fighting the Japanese about horse porn right now. So I don't know if you heard that story.
What?
Okay, so there's a Reddit green post going around where some weeb was drawing horse porn stuff on his brother's computer, which his brother is a member of the cartel.
What?
So the cartel found that and thought it was some sort of attack from the Yakuza. And now apparently like the Yakuza and that cartel chapter are like at each other's necks about something.
They're
All
separated by a whole ocean. Why does this need to be a thing?
I don't know. I wasn't even aware both of those gangs were international like that.
Obviously, they're international. Like in the modern day, gangs got to spread their influence, but like their bases are Mexico and Japan. Like they should keep their turf wars to themselves.
I don't know. Gangs are weird. I'm not going to act like I understand gangs. Also, it's a 4chan green text.
Oh, bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
We need to come together as two nations, watch some Dragon Ball over some tacos. We're gonna figure this whole thing out.
That's what
I got it. Tacos, sushi, burgers, rice.
I thought you were gonna say sushi tacos.
No. Wait. So tacos, burgers, sushi, rice. In the beginning, everyone lived together in harmony. That's why we need to come together to watch Goku. Only Goku could unite the four nations.
Exactly.
China, Japan, Mexico, and America.
Yes.
Yeah. Screw Europe.
Yeah, who needs them, right?
Who needs them?
Yeah. Nah, nobody.
Nobody.
But the real, I guess, the real answer to the question is because, well, we like to see nice shapes, right? And pretty people we like to see. I guess I'm taking the route of the 90s and 2000s era television where every cop was very handsome and sexy and all that. Like I'm just applying that same principle to my comics. It's like, people want to see cute people,
aesthetically pleasing shapes,
That's right.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And even when talking about characters that aren't conventionally attractive, we still can make them aesthetically pleasing. Like with the Goblin Chief, he is fat, but he's not an ugly kind of fat that makes you like repulsed. It's
right.
Something that makes you go, oh, clearly he's strong and sturdy.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about David's art and why I'm glad that he's the artist for the comic.
Oh, thank
It's a
you.
good reason to have him as the artist. David does really good aesthetically pleasing shapes.
Yeah.
Very round shapes. Catch my
Very
drift.
round, large shapes.
But not too large.
What do Goblin Plague Doctor babies look like? Little green monsters with crow masks?
Actually, probably. That's actually one of the other things we could look forward to. We can look forward to seeing their children in later chapters. That's farther in the future, but we're going to get to see what Goblin and Plague Doctor babies will look like. And I can say that there will be masks involved of the bird variety. So stay tuned.
This is good to know.
Sounds like somebody's taking rigorous notes in the background. I can only...
It's the curse of having a mechanical keyboard. It's just clack, 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 clack. Because I need to set Lori up to ask our next question. So I have yet to streamline this process. She's slowly becoming a sophisticated AI. Soon she'll be thinking for herself, and then we're probably all doomed.
Oh no.
All right, what's your next question, Lori?
Does Daniel's little doctor have mask?
God damn it, Lori.
Oh.
Jesus Christ, Lori.
You can't see my face, but I keep trying to talk, but I break out in more laughter.
I have not drawn Daniel naked. I don't know where you got the rumors. I'm here to dispel
Rap.
them.
Love.
Oh, Jesus Christ. She's stealing her inspiration thing. Thank you, Matthias.
I like Zofrac's comments, the fanfic.
Dr. Crow is fixing his fanfic.
I like to imagine that it's actually Laurie's fanfic. And
Turns
that's-
out I'm the AI and she's the real person all along.
and that not only is she a real person, but she's into spicy fanfics.
Answer the question.
Okay, I'll answer it, but I'll have to be serious about it. So actually, during our initial discussion, me and David, when we first talked about it over a year ago, he asked so how much is going to be shown? Is it just kissing? Is it do we need to go find another website? David was ready. And, and I told him that, first of all, Daniel is rather not touchy. He's reserved in so many ways. And Proton Stalker PG 13. I'd say it's probably PG 13-ish. I don't know how comics are rated. And I used to know how the movies were rated, but they keep changing it. So I guess PG 13, whatever that flies for. But we were talking about it, and he thought it was very fun that she really likes him, and Aisha really wants to just have children with him, no waiting. And he's just completely reserved, and he's like, well, hold on a second. We've only been married for a literal day, and also I only knew you just today. Hold on a second.
Whoa, man, things are moving a little fast. Okay.
But stay tuned.
Stay tuned. You might see
Subscribe.
goblin boobs. Everybody has a mature section. I don't think we actually want to see it, sweetheart. It's kind of a thing about the romance. It kind of goes out the window once they actually get that far. All right, Laura, you got one more question. What is it?
Most important topic. Which is better, tacos or hot dogs?
Oh, not
Tacos.
this again. Yeah.
Why does everybody answer wrong? Gaboos.
Got more variety.
We always have more variety. Hot dogs are perfectly fine. They don't need variety.
So, David, I actually had a question for you. Is that all right, Crow?
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, David, I've always been curious.
No, I'm not gay. Stop talking to my classmates.
A little quick on the draw there, David.
No, I'm not insecure. You're gay. That's always a question.
No, it's okay. No, this is one of the things I love about working with David is that he gets the humor aspect of it. Like this comic, it's gonna have some serious moments, but it's also gonna have jokes, and the jokes are important for the comic. What was I gonna say?
David does not have pictures of large buff men in his closet.
I do not. They're in my hard drive.
Lori.
Closets for clothes and for myself.
All right. On to my question for David, really quick. How much of the like beginning when we were first discussing this, like, do you like sticks out to you when we're making this? Like, does it feel like the comic has changed from what we originally discussed, or do you feel like it's still the same?
I feel like it's changed, yes, but I was noticing right now a lot of the characters' faces and the beard lengths and a lot of things changed from the art. I was like, oh no, I messed up my own character designs from the beginning. But also, it's taking more shape, and it's also. I thought, well, the way I would have done it is that, pretty fast, pretty, I guess, immediately the goblin girl like jumps on the dock and goes like, yeah, you're my husband now, and then he's like, go away and stuff like that. Like I would have done it like that, but you created a whole. It's almost a feature film, I think, at this point of that getting to know the goblins and just the beginning, the origins of it all, and it's grown. It's grown a lot.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Proton Stalker asks if any physical plans for physical copies.
So I do have plans for physical copies. I don't know how I want to do that though. I know that it probably have to be crowdfunded, and
Definitely, man. Because
Yeah.
I've been looking into it for my own comics, and it costs a pretty penny.
Yeah, it's a lot.
it's expensive.
Are
And
you getting robbed in the background? It's just like I hear clangs and
Oh,
smacks.
now
and-
my my brother is having a reunion, and it's the ice. They're pouring the ice.
I was about to say, do we need to call the Mexican police? I don't know what the number is for that.
Well,
David, if you're in
even
trouble
if
and
you
it's
need
not
it-
actually a party, I need you to give us a sign.
look, you don't have to worry about the danger. Okay, I am the danger.
But yeah, there are plans for physical copies.
As the women I
want-
mentioned can bear witness to.
David is fine. I'm in his house right now.
Oh,
All right,
maybe I
good to
am in
know,
danger.
Lori.
I am shook.
Maybe I am in danger now.
In order to do physical copies, we'd at least need to finish chapter 1. I'd like to have more than just one chapter for a physical copy, but we'll see how things go. I mean, chapter 1 is already much longer than we originally planned it to be anyway, like David
Yeah.
said.
How many
Pretty long.
pages is chapter 1 going to be when it's done?
Probably like 50.
Oh, dang. Yeah, that's like a graphic novel, dude.
Yeah, we're doing a graphic novel, it seems.
Yeah. It's like you said, like originally we had like this really quick one and done kind of thing planned. And then over time we were like, no, we need more attention to this. No. And now it's gotten to page 27. And I mean, not 27 pages on to pass, obviously, but that's how far we're at. And there's still more pages to go.
All right.
I think on to pass, there's only 10 pages up.
Something like that. It's 14 pages.
14 pages if you don't include the promotional. Which I think it's fair enough to include the promotional. It's a little side story to whet your appetite.
Exactly.
Yep.
Actually, that's something else that me and David have talked about. Other side stories we want to do in between chapters, just to keep things lighthearted, and like some pages just focus specifically on a one-off gag or joke
Mm-hmm.
that don't like really have any sort of chronology.
Right.
Kind of like Red Squirrel. That's one of the things I like about Red Squirrel. Like you can read the page by itself, and then it's a fun deal.
Yeah, the shorts from what we got right now going with Red Squirrel there. Just like short little stories, and then we'll have like the actual full length issues, but every issue could be read on its own. That's kind of like the idea with it. So even then, like it would be from page 1 to like page 25, but that's going to be its own story that you could read without having read any of the other prior issues. And I'm hoping that like with Red Squirrel that would be good. So it's like somebody finds Red Squirrel on issue 5, page 10. They only really need to go back to issue 5, page 1 to read. They don't need to read like everything that came before. And if they read that and go, "Oh, I'm liking this," they can go back and read all the other stuff.
I like that. So it's kind of episodic in nature.
Episodic in nature with a larger overarching story in the background.
Awesome.
That's the idea.
Yeah, for mine, it's kind of the reverse, where the overarching story is the story, and it's very chronological. You kind of can't start in the middle. The only thing you could really start without any sort of commitment would be the promotionals, of which there's only one right now.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like the Smoke and Mirrors also does the same, but they're even way more episodic than that. There is no big overarching story. Each issue is its own separate thing that's not building up to anything. So, where can the audience find you?
Find me? Like,
Yeah. If they want to like reach out and talk to you more, what would be the best way to do that?
probably on X or here on YouTube.
You are the first person I've ever heard actually call it X and not be joking about it.
I mean, I call it Twixter when I'm talking to friends, but nobody's gonna get that, so I had to pick one. I check my YouTube fairly regularly, and I check X often enough that if you were to DM me, I'd check it out. I've never had anybody want to reach out to me though, aside from you and David, and we already know each other on Discord. So, yeah. It's funny on my YouTube. I actually do have. Before I made this comic, I wanted to be a YouTuber, and so I started this YouTube video. It was like I had big plans for other YouTube videos, and then after I finished the first video, I was like, that took forever. I need to do something else.
I have watched that video. That's the Turning Red video, isn't it?
Yes. It encapsulates my feelings on the movie perfectly.
It's a good video.
It was a good video.
I do still want to make other videos here on YouTube, but honestly, not really like to be a YouTuber. More just to have some fun with it.
Yeah, I totally get that. And what about you, David? Where can they find you?
Oh, well.
Instagram.com, David Aragón.
Nobody can find me. I made sure of that. I'm safe. No, I mean, so yeah, David Aragón 95 on most platforms that exist. In my mom's house as well, yeah. And in your mom's house, oh, got him!
Oh! You went there.
Yeah, no, burnt.
23.6345 degrees north, 102.5528 degrees west.
I live in Negra Arroyo Lane. New Mexico.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom, Proton Stalker. At least I got to say goodbye beforehand.
All right. I ain't touching that. Okay, she's fine.
No, I figured she was fine. I figured that Proton Stalker was making a joke. That's why I was willing to jump right in there and add more.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought of another joke, but it was gonna be very crude if it was if it wasn't joking.
I think one of the cool things about working with you, David, on this is that I found that we have a lot of similar thoughts. And sometimes before I even say, I like you to do this, you already have it done in the page. And I was like, I didn't even ask him to do that. I was going to ask him and then I forgot. And it's been very, very a big blessing. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
You do make a good team.
The best joke is Dr. Crow's life story.
Damn, Lori, why you gotta be that way?
Could we have a Dr. Crow's life story, like a highlights reel, or is that something that would last longer than the stream permits?
I wonder what she's gonna say.
Probably another sick burn.
Probably.
He was born, got married, fell down and died. The end.
Oh,
damn.
Laurie can see the future. Crow, stay away from anything that is a falling hazard.
Wait,
Laurie, why you gotta be like this?
he dies?
Wait, Dr. Crow dies at the end?
Well, thanks for the spoilers.
Gee, now I don't need to watch the series anymore.
Yeah, man.
All right. So that's it from everything. So if you like today's interview, go ahead and subscribe, leave comments, share with friends. We're going to try to keep these up weekly. I'm going to have to see about who's going to be the next one. I'm hoping to try to get not an insult to YouTube, but somebody who's actually got the big numbers.
Oh, no.
No insult at all. I understand. We're still small fish right now.
My big numbers are in my bank account. Know what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't know what that feels like at all. I see the numbers in my bank account and I'm very depressed.
Oh.
Every time my numbers start to get bigger, they go back down again.
Yeah, I know, right? Goddamn taxes.
That's why I don't pay them.
All right. Lori, you got any final words of wisdom for us?
If you can high five it, you can smell it.
What the fuck does that even mean, Lori?
Spell it.
But it's true. That is very wise.
Big numbers.
What is wrong with you, Lori? There's so much wrong with this AI, I swear to God. All right, everybody. That's going to be it from me today. I'm Dr. Crow. I read a book once, and it's my goal to make you smile. What the fuck?
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Right, Twitch. You fuckers on Twitch have to go somewhere else.
Adios.
Bye, everybody. Stream product stuff. Who's streaming? Goddamn, this part of this Twitch is you guys send all your viewers off to raid someone else.
Bye, Gemini.
Here, you guys go have fun with this guy. I don't even know who this is. Bye, everybody.
Don't worry, though. We fully endorse whoever this guy is.
Yeah, this is great. I agree with every single one of his political opinions, especially in the current climate and what was announced today. Goodbye.
But enough talk. It's Morbin time.